Picture this. It's 2001. The country has just seen one of the worst acts of terrorism in its history. But it's Friday night, and you had a long day of school. So you start up your computer to kill some time. After a few hours of surfing, you stumble upon a website that catches your attention. cutoffmyfeet.com. Of course, you click it. Why wouldn't you? You're greeted by an enthusiastic man's smile along some spicy ads.
Prepare yourself for an adventure like you have never before experienced. In an unprecedented event, live, via webcam access, you can watch me amputate my legs with a homemade guillotine.
Curious, you investigate the other pages to learn more about the website's mysterious creator. Then you see it. The accident. It makes sense now. Paralysis. Cutoffmyfeet.com. You immediately go to the next window. The amputation. Join today. Paul was going to chop off his feet on camera and for a price. A question burns in your mind. What became of Paul? Did the amputation ever come into fruition? Why the fuck is this website so creepy? On the 24th of August, 1986, Paul Freck was heading back home after a day of boating with some friends. While sitting in the back of a truck, Paul fell out and had his legs run over by the boat that was being towed. He was hospitalized and went back and forth between hospitals for the next 3 months. Paul would become partially paralyzed from the waist down with complete paralysis in his feet. At the time, because of the limited technology, it seemed like Paul would remain more or less immobile for the rest of his life. But as the years passed, a new option arose: prosthetics. He was quickly disappointed, however, as after filing a claim with his insurance company, the prosthetics were deemed unnecessary. With no other option, Paul turned to the internet, a growing dimension of its own, which would spark a controversy that would be remembered by thousands.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to fully control your dreams? What if you could tap into your very own dream world? Introducing the LDM, the world's first and only lucid dream enhancing product.
Ladies and gents, we are currently living in the so-called Second Great Depression. BlackRock has devoured all habitable land. Gas is at an all-time high. And worst of all, GTA 6's jiggle physics will cost $79.99. So, I suppose that this is a sort of call to action, to scour your couches for loose change, to get a better insurance policy, to cancel your daily Uber Eats order. For what, Grio, you ask? To invest into ourselves. Get this guy out of here. To invest into me. Why? All videos, ad-free, scripts that show a glimpse into my workflow, videos early, and best of all, Patreon originals. So, click in the link below now to enter the world of Grio. One of Paul's earliest ideas was to simply lay his feet along some tracks and let a train handle the rest, courtesy of his friend. But after further discussion, the two agreed on a public live stream of sorts where people would pay to view the amputation. For only $20, one can enjoy the gory sight in its full glory. So the website was created. But there was little reception. Cutoffmyfeet.com was a single dot in the ocean that was the web. In an effort to gain some traction, Paul would make an appearance on the Howard Stern show where he tried to resonate with viewers by explaining his story and mission. The feature was a success. Over 100,000 users visited the site, yet only 20 of those users actually paid the $20 fee. Many of the site's visitors could not take Paul seriously, despite the website featuring a detailed schematic of the guillotine as well as a picture to legitimize it. While the users were skeptical, Paul was serious. For the actual event, Paul secured a location, film crew, and medical professionals. He even set up a raffle system so that one lucky patron could watch the amputation in person, and this included airfare, a hotel stay, and a +1. But still, the people had questions.
What are you gonna do with your feet after you cut them off? Would you consider an auction? I'm not sure if that's legal.
In our initial planning, we had talked about purchasing human legs or a cadaver to test the blade of the guillotine. Unfortunately, it's illegal, a federal crime, to buy or sell bodies or body parts. So since an auction is not an option, but I like the idea, I guess I'd like to have my legs frozen. Then maybe one day medical science will find a way to let me use them again.
What's the wildest incident you've had happen since the accident?
The wildest would probably be New Year's Eve in Biloxi. When we got to our hotel that evening, my brother realized that my shoe was soaked in blood. We pulled a nail out of my foot and I never even felt it.
Are you insane?
Paul's scheme had caught the attention of the Mississippi Attorney General, who viewed the entire plan as an act of fraud, as well as a violation of so-called mayhem laws. Soon, corporate lawyers began dismantling the operation, forcing Paul to lose members of the crew. Worst of all, Paul still did not have enough funding. The initial date of September 19, 2001 was postponed several times until the event was cancelled indefinitely. Shortly after, Paul would shut down the website, ending the cutoffmyfeet.com saga and removing him from the public eye for good, or so it would seem. Several years later, a Paul Graham Morgan would be tried for 2 counts of child touching and 1 count of child molestation. Now, while I don't know if the two are definitely the same person, there are some similarities that should be pointed out. For starters, both Pauls have connections to the state of Mississippi. And secondly, while searching through the incident report, I found a segment in which the defendant uses the Americans with Disabilities Act in his defense. Perhaps it's only a mere coincidence, but even if there is a grain of truth, it is no less heartbreaking to see how dramatically Paul's life would change after the website's closure. If anything, cutoffmyfeet.com remains a memento of a man's enthusiasm and passion just before it would all end so terribly.